So we're going to go ahead and get started since it is 1 o'clock. I'm sure we'll have a few more people jumping in on Zoom here. As you know, I like to start every meeting. I kind of already asked the question in the room, but if you have something specific that you want to mastermind around. So I am in Lake Forest in person today, so that's why my background looks different for those of you on Zoom. Hey, Ernie.
Hi.
If you're not here in person.
I'm sick.
Well, thank you for tuning in, and thank you so much for coming in person and getting the rest of us sick.
Right.
I hope you feel better soon.
Thanks.
All righty, so Zoom or in the room, and I love how. Hey, I like a full room. This is awesome.
Thank you.
Keep in mind, those of you that are on Zoom, next Monday, I'm coming to, where am I on Monday? Central Coast, Pismo Training Room, okay, for our listing workshop that we're going to be having a 3-part listing workshop next week on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Tuesday, we will be in West Ventura County. Thursday, we'll be in Porter Ranch. And Wednesday, I'm doing a special class in downtown LA for Remove Your Limiting Beliefs. So even if you can't go to those in person because of your location, please tune in the room because they're going to be very important classes. And today, is there anything anybody in the room or on Zoom specifically would like to mastermind around?
Sorry, real quick, Jodi, will those be recorded?
Yes, they will. I don't know how soon we'll be able to get them up though. So don't count on the recording in lieu of attending unless you absolutely can't attend.
Yeah, I'll be out of town, so.
Oh, okay. Well, that we understand. But you will have access to them. I just can't promise how soon.
No worries, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Anybody gonna start us off? Anyone on Zoom? All right, well, yeah, Adam.
Maybe can I suggest like the topic of retrospecting?
You know what's really, really funny? Great minds think alike. If you guys had nothing to talk about, I was going to talk about lead generation today. Because it is something that, if we're honest with ourselves, we don't do enough of. Would you agree?
Yep.
Okay. Yes.
One thing, if you could go through, like, I know with obviously negotiations and stuff like that, but what we can negotiate and what we can't negotiate. Like,
Okay, that's an interesting question. I would need a little bit more of an example. There's almost nothing we can't negotiate. So I'd need to know a little more specific about your question.
okay, I'll think of like the specifics in a while.
Okay, okay. Just because I can't think of something in particular. The one thing I will say on negotiation though, remember you are working for your client. So it is always your client's decision, never yours, as to what you put on a purchase agreement, what you put in a counter offer, or what you negotiate. Although you can help with that, it's always their decision and we never tell them what to write. Okay, that much I can tell you. But if you have something specific, I'd be happy to address it. It's just off the top of my head, I can't think of anything we can't negotiate other than we can't tell them what to do. Okay, so who here, and I'm going to ask you to get a little vulnerable. Who here has lead gen in their calendar every workday? Raise your hand if you do. Okay, we're looking on Zoom too. Okay, so I'm not seeing very many hands. I think this is a good time. Okay, awesome, Anthony. So having it in your calendar is one thing, right? Who here follows what's in their calendar every day? We got 1, 2, we've got hands going like this. Okay. So Ernie, Anthony, are those raised hands for following, or do you have a question?
No, that's
Okay,
just
awesome. So let me ask a question here, and anybody chime in, and this is meant to be participatory, so you need to participate. What is holding you back?
Hmm.
And this is anybody on Zoom or in the room. Adam?
I feel like I've been prioritizing like a lot, like finding an open house, maybe a little bit too much time and not like, I'm just kind of afraid like to dip into my SOIs. Just because it's uncomfortable.
Okay,
So I think, yeah.
tell us a little bit more about that. Can we have a coaching moment here?
Yeah,
Okay, so
of
tell us a little bit more about that. What's uncomfortable about reaching out to your SOI?
I feel like talking to strangers is a lot easier, like when it comes to real estate, just because I'm like still like a new agent and I don't have enough competence to like continue the conversation. So I feel like that's what kind of sets me back.
Okay,
It's kind of for like a friend.
anybody else feel the same way? Or felt the same way when they started?
Yeah.
Okay, so that is very common, right? So let me ask you, Adam, and anybody can chime in. Your sphere of influence are the people who know you, right? So would you say they know you're new to real estate?
I've been getting the word out there, like through social media slowly. I've been like doing posts, and just kind of trying to educate them slowly. So whenever I go like gathering or things, I just kind of casually give the word,
Okay.
not in like a pushy way.
So your sphere of influence are people that typically know you, trust you, right? And they know you're new in real estate. So they probably know you're gonna have some questions, right?
Sure.
So how can you assure them that just because you're new, what did you do before real estate?
So that's funny because actually last night, like I couldn't sleep. I was like thinking about like what can I do? Because I was just overthinking SOIs, right?
Mhm.
So I started going through my contact list and I started to see labels because I used to work in Nordstrom, my last job. So I was like, wait, I used to like title them like Nordy number, like all the people.
Okay.
So now I started to think of that and like maybe I'll call them back and kind of bring up the conversation
Okay.
like, oh, I'm in real estate now.
So what kind of customer service did you give your Nordy people?
I used to like do like personal style, like suits and like watches and stuff like that. So yeah, like just daily interactions, like trying to help them pick out their outfits and that shop.
Would you say you built a great rapport with those people?
Yeah, there was like times where they would just flow and then they would come back and just end up with like big bag of clothes.
And did you ever repeat customers?
Yeah, a couple
Okay.
times, yeah.
So would you say that those people trust you? Okay, so pretend I'm you and you're a Nordy person, okay? Hey, Adam, it's Jodi, and you know what? I wanted to reach out. I was going through my phone and I found your contact information. I really enjoyed working with you when I was at Nordstrom, and I wanted to let you know that I'm in real estate now. And I'm really excited about that. Do you have any needs or happen to know of anybody that might benefit? Okay. That might benefit from having a conversation with me. Now, here's the thing. What if you get asked a question you don't know the answer to?
Improvise.
So you know what? That's a really great question, and I'm gonna need to get back to you on that. Right? Yes?
I just wanted, this is very, very strange. So, and this is a good story for you. Guy that used to sell me my suits at Nordstrom. Also named Adam.
Was it me?
No, it wasn't. Also named Adam. He said, and we just started talking. I said I was a lender. And he gave me his card. So I just started with Keller Williams. And he was over in Costa Mesa. He's now like mega agent. His name is Adam Morgan. So, and he did the exact same thing. He went back through his database because I lost touch with him. A couple of years later, I ran into him at Keller Williams event. And I said, hey, how do you do this? They had some good memory. I'm like, yeah. And so I'm like, you're doing really well now. I'm like, what'd you do? He went and just mined his database from everybody that he met at Nordstrom and all past lines. I mean, that's literally exactly something you can do right now. And it worked. So.
And here's the thing, your client, your sphere of influence knows you're new to real estate. It makes sense that you're gonna have questions, right? So you have a team of people behind you. You work with a team of people. So let's just say one of your SOIs like, I don't know, Adam, you're a little bit new. I'm not sure if you'll be able to help me. You know what? I totally understand that. I can assure you I'm the best person to help you because I want this, and I have a team of 140 agents. That's just the PC group. That doesn't even include your whole market center here, right? with coaches that have decades of experience behind them that are there to help if I need it. So I can assure you, you will be in great hands.
Actually, I was asked that. But that was friend of mine. I have a problem they don't have, because I'm new in California, I don't like anybody. I don't have any SOI here. I just met a couple of people here. That's it. But I had a person and we sat down together and offered him if he needed help, because he was trying to downsize his house. He said, well, you're new, let's wait and you learn some more. And he gave him same answer you give right now.
Mhm.
And I said, I'm not alone, we have a team. But my question is, okay, he worked in Nordstrom, had 100 customers, he has every one of them with the name and everything they like in his memory or his black. I don't have anybody here. What should I do?
So you gotta start meeting people, right? So we talked about this, it's been again several months ago when we had the Thrive event. It was actually down here. So Jason Abrams talked about, we need to get our databases to 201 at a minimum, right? And so if you don't have, if you have 201, great, work your database. We can talk about that in a minute. If you don't have 201, you need to find more people. It's that simple. So how do you find people? Go to the mall, go shopping. Make it a goal to meet 10 people before you leave. Hold an open house. Every single person you meet at that open house is a new person to add to your
I've been
database.
asking everyone if they need help with the house, but no one offers.
Well, and that can happen. And Emily is on the call here on Zoom, and she had several weeks of frustration with that, right, Emily? And now you want to tell the group what's happening now?
It took me 6 weeks to get an open house scheduled, and I'm now going into my 6th straight weekend of having open houses. So
Here's the thing, sometimes agents are really busy, especially really high producing listing agents are very, very busy. So they're not returning texts and calls from people they're not familiar with, okay? So you have to be a squeaky wheel. That's what Emily did. She was a squeaky wheel. She didn't give up. She finally started getting people that wanted to let her do open houses. And now they're calling her and saying, hey, you want to do it again this weekend? She just shared that with me. I believe it was yesterday. And so don't give up, right? So anything that we do is consistency, time on task over time, right?
Do you do open house for other company too?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe your broker allows that here.
I've called up to 25 agents in all different companies to try to find an open house, and so.
Right.
And then I started doing video open houses too in the evening, which nobody's doing. So if you have a vacant house and weekends are booked, that's a great Tuesday through Friday.
The key with open houses is, and the best way that you're gonna get one, and we're not gonna have a long conversation about open houses today, because the last couple of weeks, we've had a pretty good conversation in this particular venue about that. But the key with open houses is ask agents about doing an open house on a vacant house, okay? Because they don't have to get seller permissions, they don't have to go through any hoops. And so those are gonna be your easiest ones to get. So the other thing is text them. Don't call them or email them. They're not gonna pick up the phone if they're busy for a number they don't recognize, okay? So text them, let them know who you are, that you're in their market center, particularly if you're calling from here. If you're gonna call agents outside of this market center, I would start with agents out of the area. There are a lot of agents listing property out of the area, and they're unlikely to come here to do an open house, depending on where they live. So start there. But start with vacant houses, because that is gonna be the easiest way to get an open house. Is that a Tigger?
That's my child, picking up my child.
I'm like, okay. Open houses are a great way to add to your sphere of influence. Just don't know a stranger. Every single time you go out and you go somewhere, you go to the grocery store, you go to the coffee shop, you drive through somewhere, you go to dinner, it doesn't matter what you do, meet somebody. If you made it a practice to meet 2 new people a day, at the end of the week, you'd add 10 brand new people to your database, right? So part of it is intentionality. The bold law, what you focus on expands. Are you focusing on meeting new people and adding to your database? Or are you focused on, I'm new here, I don't know anybody here, and so I don't know how I'm gonna add people to my database? There's a big difference. So our mindset really does matter. Okay, I am gonna say one thing to the point of being brand new. Some of you have already heard this story, and I apologize, but it will be brief. So some of you have heard the Gene Rivers experience, right? Who here has not heard about Gene Rivers' experience getting his first listing? Okay, so about half of you. Okay, so Gene Rivers, does everybody know who Gene Rivers is, first of all?
No.
He is one of Gary's top 100. He's very well respected in this company. Matter of fact, I think it was here he came and did a listings workshop recently. He's done listings workshops all over the place. I've had the pleasure of being able to be a part of them. Whenever I can learn from him, especially in person, I like to go. He's just a phenomenal human being. He's also very intentional, and he's very much about the models and the systems. When he started in real estate, he and his wife got their real estate license. He lived in Florida. And so he went into this subdivision. He got his first listing appointment, happened to be in a subdivision that was really high dollar and was locked up by a very well-known agent there. Like no one else listed property in this area. And so he went in fully prepared, his first listing appointment. He thought, I thought of everything. I can't think of a thing that I can't conquer in this appointment. Except the one question he got asked: how many houses have you sold? And he hadn't sold any, right? And so the key is honesty, right? Remember, one of our Y4C2Ts is trust starts with honesty. He was super honest. And he said, look, Mr. Seller, I'm going to be really honest with you. You are my first listing appointment. If you list your house with me, you're going to be my very first listing. But here's the thing. My wife and I got our real estate license because we got out of the careers that we had. We are determined to make this work. And if we can't make this work in X amount of time, and I forgot what that was, then we're going to have to do something else. And that's just not an option. He says, I promise you that because I'm new and I have to make this work, there is no one else who will do a better job for you than I will if you'll just give me a chance. The seller said, okay, you got 30 days. He gave him 30 days and he sold the house. That was his first listing, his first sale, and the rest is history. He's probably a billionaire. I don't know that for a fact, but I know he's a multimillionaire. And he's in Gary Keller's top 100. Who actually personally is one of Gary's friends. So I tell you this because he started scared. He started with nothing. He started not knowing a lot of people or knowing what he was doing. Just like everybody does. Even Gary Keller started that way, right? And one of Gary Keller's part of quoting him in the shift book is time on task over time is what produces results. And here's what we all do if we're honest with ourselves for the most part. And some of you that have been with us a while, nod your heads, thumbs up, whatever, if you agree with what I'm saying. Most of us do things, including different types of lead generation, just long enough to accomplish one thing. Does anybody know what that is? Ernie?
Making money.
To make an appointment. Right, or did I miss
That's
the
the
question?
goal.
That's the goal.
That's the goal.
Just
But
enough time to waste
most
your
of-
own time.
Exactly. Thank you,
Oh, yeah.
Anthony. Yes, most of us do things just long enough to waste our time. Because we do it for a while and we think, oh, this isn't working. And then we get frustrated, so we move on to something else that we do for a little while and it's not working. So, okay, let's try something else. And we continue in that cycle. And guess what? Almost all of us avoid What do most all of us avoid?
Conflict,
No, okay, let me ask the question a different way. What do most all of us avoid doing for lead generation?
Consistency.
Okay, well, consistency, picking up the phone, those are things we avoid. What form of lead generation do we avoid?
Cold calling?
phone calls.
You guys all make calls. You guys all door knock. Well, maybe not all, but our guys are doing open houses. You guys are asking us constantly.
Fall off. You don't fall off, you know.
Okay, that could be true. That's still not the answer we're going for here.
Media.
It was already said in this room. Somebody said they're doing everything, they're focusing on something else instead of what they should be. What is that? Okay, so it's, okay, I'm not just gonna, what?
That's a lie.
Yes, exactly. I was gonna say, I'm not just gonna tell you guys should know this, okay? Your sphere of influence is the single best way to lead generate, period, end of story, full stop. If you're not calling your SOI, you're not doing your job. Period. Anybody know why?
Because
I know
these
some of
people,
you
they
do.
trust you and they know you.
Well, this is true.
They have an influence.
Yes. Statistically, according to NAR and CAR, and this has been statistically for decades, 75% or more of our business comes from our SOI. So anyone here have somebody yell out a goal you have? A financial goal for the year.
10 transactions,
That's not a financial goal.
$100,000.
$100,000.
Everybody says $100,000. Is that even gonna fund your life? That's a whole other conversation, right? Okay, let's use $10,000 or $100,000 for round numbers, okay? Because do we know why we want to make $100,000? That's a whole other topic.
Yeah.
$100,000 for round numbers. If your goal is $100,000, you've done the math and you need $100,000 to live this year. Are you okay with $25,000 at the end of the year?
Because one, before that is gonna go away with everything else, the expenses, taxes, everything else.
Okay, that's not the question. If you need to make $100,000, that number should factor in taxes and everything else, okay? Whatever your financial goal is. We're using this for just easy math's sake, okay? If you need $100,000 to live and pay your taxes and all that other stuff, and at the end of the year, all you made was $25,000, are you okay with that?
No, because you got $2,400.
Okay, if you're not okay with that, call your sphere. That's how you get the $100,000 instead of the $25,000. Does that make sense? That's a decades-old statistic. As a matter of fact, it's went up over time. That 75% for years, it was around 70%. Now it's 75%. Don't forget, guys, your sphere of influence by definition as anyone you know who knows who you are. So it isn't just the closest people to you. It is your friends and family, but that's not all. It's people they know that you know who know you, right? It's the grocer, it's the mechanic, it's the hairstylist, it's the manicurist, it's anybody that you know, okay? It's also your past clients, whether it's in real estate because you have past real estate clients or because you work somewhere else where you got a phone full of past clients from Nordstrom. That is your sphere of influence. And if you are afraid to call them, you're in the wrong business. If you want to be successful. Is there anyone, particularly on Zoom, because I know we have some ones that have been around a little bit longer on Zoom. Is there anyone that would be able or like to share how you felt when you started? Because I know many of you felt the same way, but what difference it made when you overcame that, the calling of the sphere specifically.
You know what? I'll start with the ones that I had the most fear talking to. When I called them, they were the ones that were more receptive to the whole thing and the most positive calls, believe it or not.
I've heard that many, many times. Our fear is worse than the actual doing of it. Gary Keller was recently, he put a quote on Facebook and said, don't fear what might happen. Fear not having opportunities. That wasn't the exact quote, but that was the gist of it. Right? So if we really want to make a success, we've got to regenerate. Not only do we need to be calling our sphere of influence as the number one way that we do this, we need to have it in our calendar, and we need to be doing this daily. Every single day. And in the market we're in, if you don't have appointments, you should be regenerating during appointment time. Your only job until you start getting business is to regenerate. Don't be worrying about making fancy presentations and ordering business cards and all that yada yada stuff. Because what good is any of that without a client? Right? You have got to regenerate. You have got to tell people you're in real estate. You don't have to ask every single person, hey, do you want to sell your house? You have to get in conversation with them. You have to get into a relationship with them. You have to let them know what you're doing. And over time, you'll be the one they think of. Right? But if we're not telling them, who's going to? If I ask you to tell me the first real estate agent that comes to your mind, throw out a name. Who's the first real estate agent that comes to your mind?
Myself.
Me.
Why did no one else speak up? Be honest. Did you think someone else's name other than yourself? Yeah. So if you're not top of mind in your own mind, how are you going to be in your sphere's mind? And here's one thing that I do know for a fact. If you're not calling your sphere, somebody else is, because somebody else is doing their job and they're getting their phone number somewhere, somehow, and they're calling them. What if that somebody else agent is, I like to refer to him as Joe Schmo for just no other reason, but you know, it's just funny. So what if Joe Schmo Realtor is calling your best friend because you were afraid to, but he doesn't care anything about helping your friend. He just wants to collect the commission from him. How are you going to feel when your best friend calls you and says, man, Adam, I just worked with Joe Schmo and he was horrible. I had the worst experience of my life. I just found out you're in real estate. I really wish you would have told me. More people than not are going to feel that way. And let me just knock one limiting belief out of your head right now if you have this. Yeah, but Jodi, sometimes people don't want to work with their friends or family. It makes them uncomfortable. You might come across one or two of those. And if they're that adamant, fine. But that's 1 or 2% of people, right? If you have 100 people to reach out to that you know and love and want to help, maybe one of them is going to feel that way. So does that mean you shouldn't give the other 99 a chance to work with you? No. Excuse me, I'm getting over a little something. It's you know that lingering weeks-long cough after you've been fine.
Yeah, it's going around.
I'm past the icky part, but this will be with me for weeks.
Jodi, along with that
Yes.
same percentage, I think it's like 75 or 80% go with the first agent they talk to as well.
Mhm. That's correct. That's one of the statistics as you go through Ignite that you're gonna come across. Most people go, whether it's buyer or seller, with the first person they talk to. So if you're not reaching out to them regularly, then who are they gonna go with? There's somebody on Zoom right now that gave the experience that he thought his, and I'm not gonna call out who it is, but he thought his smart plan, wasn't working well because the client had called him the day before he was scheduled to call the client. It's not an exact science to pick the day we follow up, right? But the client called him back instead of someone else because he had the smart plan going, because it was reaching out to them rather than calling someone else who was not following up at all. Right? So every single person in this room and on Zoom should have every single one of your spheres of influence in command on a smart plan and have made a phone call to them. And if you're nervous about calling them, send a physical letter to them via mail, you know, the kind that we put a stamp on the envelope that not many people do anymore. Handwrite the envelope, handwrite your signature, announce that you're in real estate. Because guess what? Now you have a reason to call in a week or so to see if they got the letter. Right? Yes.
So I'm gonna put myself out there just because
Okay.
I know I'm kind of like a little bit disgusted in myself, and this is just something that I personally deal with. Is that I may not have, I'm not a very social person on my social media. So I've taken the opportunity, like when, like on Facebook, when, you know, that pops up, oh, your friend blah, blah, blah has a birthday today. You know, I'll go in and I'll say, oh, happy birthday, it's been a long time, how are you doing? You know, and then I strike up a conversation with them and I haven't talked to them in like 5 years.
Mhm.
And I'm like, hey, and then I, you know, bring up that I'm in real estate, and then I kind of feel personally cringy towards myself. You know what I mean? Because I'm making it about me and not about their birthday.
Mhm.
And I kind of deal with my own inner demons when I do that kind of a thing. But I know that I have to somehow, you know, do my sphere of influence, my SOI, like, but I feel like a turd in a way. You know what I mean? Because I haven't reached out to these people in a long time, and maybe I've been a really bad friend. But here I am, like, reaching out to them, saying happy birthday, only because I'm trying to benefit myself in a way.
Okay, so I 100% hear what you're saying. I'm sure there's everyone on the room and on Zoom is feeling the same way or has felt. Here's the thing, when that happens, when you see that birthday and you call to say whatever it is that you're saying, that's all you need to do. You don't need to force real estate on it. Remember, we are in the business of creating relationships. Relationships with people is what makes us successful in this business, not being pushy. But here's what happens. You make that connection, and then the next time you connect with them, it's that much easier. Make sure that that person that you reached out to on their birthday is in command and is put on a quarterly call plan and is put on a neighborhood nurture. Because when you do call them purposefully about real estate, you've already made a connection, reconnected, so to speak. Be doing other things on your social media with them, liking things and commenting, those types of things. Then when you make that quarterly call, it's simply, how are you? How's your family? Or whatever last thing that you talked about with them. How's work going? Because inevitably they ask you those questions back. And even if they don't ask you back, how's your job going? Depending on what their answer is, you can kind of turn to, oh, that's really great. You know, I'm glad everything's going good. You know, things are going really well for me too. A few months ago, I started in real estate and I'm really excited to help people find their dream home and da. It doesn't have to be a forced, and it shouldn't be a forced conversation. We start off by building relationships. So when you start in this business, brand new, and if you've not yet done this and you've been in this business under a year, Remember, your foundation checklist for PC says, send out 10 letters a day, right? Send out 10 letters Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Then the following Monday, you're gonna call the first 10, then the next 10, then the next, and then the next, while sending out more. Send out an announcement letter. Because guess what? That's the one time you get, there's a couple times a year, about 3 times a year, you'll have a super more comfortable way to connect with your sphere. Even those you haven't talked to in a long time. The first one is when you start in the business. Nobody is going to be offended by getting a letter, an announcement from you saying that you're in real estate now and you're super excited about this new chapter in your life. Nobody. Yes.
Quick question, when you say a letter, do you like mailing it out to them, or do you mean like just sending them like a letter in the email?
Mail it with a stamp and everything. Hand write their name and address on the envelope. Wait a week and call and see if they got it. So that's the one time. So if you've been in this business for a long time, and didn't do that, you lost that opportunity. Okay, but there are more opportunities that will come throughout the year. They come kind of close together where they're super comfortable. One will be coming up at the holiday time, right? You have missing information for anybody. And even if you don't have missing information, call and confirm that you have their correct mailing address because you want to send them a card. Nobody's offended by that. That's the one time a year they're going to very easily give you their information. That will be the easiest time of the year to collect any information you don't have. So you need to take advantage of that opportunity. That will come up starting about October-ish. You can do that anytime though. Don't think you need to wait. Hey, I'm going through my contacts and I'm planning on sending out a lot of cards at the end of the year. You can do that now. Okay, you don't have to wait. The other time is after the first of the year. Fess up that you've been a bad friend. You know what? First of the year, thinking about things, and I realized, you know what, Elsa, we haven't talked in so long, and I feel really bad about that. That's why I'm just calling to see how you are today. Have a conversation. And if it's not comfortable, don't bring up real estate. But if you don't start building the relationships today, a year from now, you'll be asking these same questions and you won't have a pipeline and you won't have a business. But if you start talking to your sphere now, building those relationships, not avoiding the topic of real estate, just because I said you don't have to force it, right? Don't force it. Try to make it happen. But if it's not comfortable because you haven't talked to them in 10 years, make that the next time, not this time. And that's okay. Also, follow up, be active on social media. Everybody, matter of fact, okay, let's do this. Where's my, oh, here it is. Okay, I'm going to take a picture. Okay, I'm not good at doing these selfie things, so. Okay, let's see if we can, wait. I'm going to move you guys over here so we can get you in the picture too. Let's see. Oops. Does this go smaller? No? Okay. And oop, there we go.
I think you can move the zoom out thing with this.
Well, I can't see what I'm doing with these on my head. It helps that it's in not in portrait mode. There we go. Okay. Okay, but I don't want them there. All right, where are we here? Well, we're not all in there. Okay. Sorry, I can't get everybody in there.
It's gonna be halfway.
Oh, here, let's do this. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna post that later on Facebook. So go on my page and look for it and find it and share it to your people. Okay? Or take a picture of the room, take a selfie of yourself, whatever. Take a picture of that screen. I'm at work today bettering myself to help my clients. Right? So you're not asking, hey, you want to know the value of your house? Don't do that. Everybody does that. right? The next time you go specifically to do an open house, take a picture of yourself in front of the house. Doing an open house today, can't wait to see all the new people I meet. Anytime you do something real estate related, take a picture of it, post it, do that at least once a week. People are gonna start to realize you're in real estate. Then when you call them, they'll start asking you questions. You'll randomly start getting private messages on your social media. Hey, I have a real estate question. Guess who's gonna become their realtor of choice? None of this happens overnight, guys. It takes time. But if you don't start now, it won't happen. Make sense?
Yeah.
Thoughts, questions, comments? Anybody on Zoom? You all are really quiet today. Did you have a sedative before you came in or what? All right, any other questions? Here's the thing, for everybody in PC, we get asked all the time, what else can I do to lead generate? And our question to you is going to be, have you reached out to your sphere of influence? And if the answer is no, the conversation's over. Because if I try to give you all kinds of other ideas, I would be doing you a disservice as a coach. Does that mean you can't do anything else? Of course not, right? Obviously, be doing your open houses, circle call around areas for a reason. Don't cold call a neighborhood without a reason to call. We don't use the word cold call. Okay, we always want to have a reason for what we're doing. Make sure you are coming to Daily Kickstart every day at 9 a.m. and practice your conversations. If you happen to be here today because you're on a lunch break or something and you have another job, find another agent that's in the program and practice your conversations with them at a designated time. This is part of our job. Practicing conversations with someone else will make it easier when you actually call the people. Okay. Any questions, thoughts, comments? Yes.
Just as a kind of a point of reference for everybody else. When I was new in the business, you know, like Adam's talking about being afraid to talk to your SOI. You know, once I kind of got over that, you have to constantly kind of remind people that you are in business.
Mhm.
You don't be afraid to ask for business. I would go hang out with friends and family and stuff like that. And then I would find out that I would assume that they knew I was a lender already, right? After my initial introduction. And I wasn't constantly reminding them of that. And I lost a couple deals because I found out they went to refinance with another lender. And they're like, oh, dude, I totally forgot you're a lender. So that's a mirror conversation. That's that's what did I do wrong here? Right. And it was because I wasn't constantly reminding people of what I do. I just assumed that, oh, you're my friends or family, you already know. Right. They're gonna automatically reach out to me anytime they have a need for a loan. And that's not the case sometimes. So you have to constantly be top of mind in everybody's mind, especially your SOI.
Yeah, and I love that you share that because that is so true. Even your own mother will forget to ask you if you're not ever talking about it. And believe me, we've had those experiences from people. That's not an exaggeration. And so that's why the model is 36 touches at a minimum every single year. If you follow DTD4, which is in your PC toolkit, that's 8 touches right there. No brainers, tells you exactly who to call, who to text, and who to private message every single week. So pull up the DTD4 from the toolkit and use it. Secondly, put everyone on a bi-monthly neighborhood nurture. That's going to be another 26 touches throughout the year. It doesn't matter if they're renters. Wherever they're renting, give them their neighborhood information. If you know they want to buy in a particular area, add that neighborhood to it. You can put as many neighborhoods on somebody as you want. especially if they're homeowners, make sure they're in there. Because they want to know what's going on. Everybody wants to know what's going on in their neighborhood. That is not an email that will bother anybody. And guess what? If it does, they can unsubscribe. Big deal. Right? So make those touches. And if you've not yet started, start today. If you have not completed, because I know some of you are brand new, some of you have been around for a while and still have not even completed your first week's checklist in the foundation checklist. So I want everybody on this call, in the room, on Zoom, go back to your checklist. What have you not completed? And make that a priority. That first week is essential. Make sure you're reaching out to your lenders. Make sure you're reaching out to escrow. Find out how they can help you. Okay, their information is in each of your market centers PC toolkit, the who's who. And I think we've just updated much of them, all of them. If anybody finds anything, and Val, thank you for alerting us to West Ventura County. I think we have that updated. Reach out to them, see how they can help you, because they're part of your team. That's why Vance is here today, to support you guys, right? So our lenders, our escrow, they're part of our team. So when we're talking about, I have a team of people, they're also part of our team. You're gonna get asked financial questions and lender questions that you're not gonna know the answer to, and guess what? That's okay. I don't even want to know all those answers because that's not my lane, right? Great question. I'm gonna connect you with a lender that's going to be able to answer that question for you. There are so many programs out there. I don't wanna know them all. I don't care to know all their guidelines. I need to know that my trusted lender knows them all and knows the guidelines and can help my buyer. Because guess what? Even if you do know today, tomorrow they could change and you might not have heard about it. So don't answer those questions, even if you think you know the answer. Stay in your lane. Okay. So, and I do know that sometimes people get really not crazy, but really nervous around those types of questions. Guess what? You don't have to answer them, and you shouldn't.
The same thing with me, like when they ask, I get so many buyers that ask me tax questions. Like, how much should I write off? And then I'm like, that's a CPA question.
Yeah.
I have an idea of kind of what I would do, but I avoid that like the plague. Like I stay in my lane, that's not my level of expertise. So it's the same thing, like, and I send out the market updates every Friday for you guys with the rate sheet. I gotta tell you guys, blast it out to everybody, plagiarize me all the time. I mean, because this is like, it's good information that people have questions about the market, right?
Yeah. And all the market center lenders do that. And so make sure that you're taking advantage of that, right? And the tax thing, yes, this never, ever, ever give tax information. Any questions come up, oh, what should I do about this? It will happen. It will. That is a great question for your tax preparer. Because even if you just sat down with yours and they told you in detail the answer to a question that that person just asked you, and you know the answer for you based on your relationship with your tax preparer and your financials. You don't know the answer for them. Their circumstances are likely very different, and the same question gets a different answer. So never give tax or legal advice. And as realtors, never give financial or lender advice. Leave that, use them as the partners that they are. Let them be a part of your team. Okay. Anything else anyone wants to add? Who has had some success with being nervous about calling their SOI? Ernie already shared one, and then finding out it wasn't so bad. And Emily, are you raising your hand? What, you want to share?
Kate's got her hand up too.
Is that, it's, so you don't want to share? I gotta go to Kate. Okay, Kate.
Go next, Emily. I did, because coming into this, I originally thought that I was going to, like, the goal was to tell people, I mean, the goal is to tell people you're in real estate, but I was kind of coming at it with like that focus. And then I shifted it to be the focus of just reconnecting with people or connecting with people for the first time, and letting the conversation about real estate just be completely organic and natural. I feel like it's also more fulfilling and it makes you happier because you are connecting with people. And like as humans, that's what we enjoy doing. So just like reconnecting with that SOI has been much easier than I thought it was because I shifted it away from focusing on myself and instead focusing it on building a relationship with another person.
Awesome. And are you getting to have some good real estate conversations?
Slowly but surely, yes, some.
Awesome. Awesome. Emily?
Well, it's a lot like what Kate was saying. I constantly have to remind myself that it's the long game. That it doesn't matter if real estate comes up today, and it doesn't matter if it doesn't come up the next time, that it's the long game and to just be patient.
Excellent. Thank you both for sharing. And that's true. Remember, does everybody here want to be in business still a year from now? Okay. And you could think, oh my gosh, I talked to this person, I haven't done anything for a year. And it's a little disheartening, right? Because we want business now. That's normal. But guess what? That year's gonna go by so fast. Before you know it, it's gonna be here. And then you'll be able to help them. And in the meantime, you're gonna have a lot of other things that will come up that you'll be able to do. So start planting the seeds now, start building the relationships now, build the pipeline. Because remember, we want to help you build a successful, profitable business. We want to help you have a regular income, not a hit and miss income. We don't want you riding that real estate roller coaster where you don't know where the next closing is coming from. And the only way to do that is to be constantly filling your pipeline with new leads. What is the number one way to do that? Your SOI. And if you don't have enough, go find more. Right? Do events, do community events, go to mixers, go to different events that the community has. There's different clubs and all kinds of things that you can go to. Right? So don't put yourself in just one little hole. Find something that you love to do and go be a part of it somewhere. You know, for those of you that like to, anybody here like to play golf? I know there's probably a lot of golfers in this area. Go play a round of 9 and make it your goal to not leave until you've talked to 10 people while you're playing golf. Have fun, make it fun. You like to shop? Go to the mall. I mentioned that earlier. Doesn't matter, make it fun. It doesn't have to be, oh my gosh, I gotta pick up the phone today. I don't really want to talk on the phone, right? It could be anything. And yes, sometimes you're gonna have to talk on the phone. Come to Daily Kickstart. Is there any reason that anyone either on Zoom or in this room cannot come to Kickstart at 9 a.m.? Huh?
A toddler. I mean, he usually is really good. He'll sit on my lap.
It's on Zoom.
I have a work full time.
Okay, if you have another job, we understand. If you don't have another job and real estate is your your full-time job, we do not understand. Be on Kickstart at 9 a.m. I want to see a huge crowd tomorrow on Zoom or in person if it's in person at a particular market center. Are you in person tomorrow, Emily, or next week? Next week?
Actually, is it next week or even the week after? Because with that whole 5th week, it totally threw me off.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Okay. So I think most of them will be on Zoom tomorrow. I expect to see a very large crowd on Zoom's Kickstart tomorrow, 9 a.m., 15 minutes of conversation practice, and then get on the phones. If you have not called, I want all of you right now today to plan 5 people from your SOI you have not yet spoke to or you want to speak to again, and call them tomorrow morning as soon as you're done practicing your conversations. Make a list before you leave this room or the Zoom and call those 5 people tomorrow on Kickstart. And our leader is Rick tomorrow. So he's waving up there. So he will have everybody's names in our tracker for Daily Kickstart. So we will know if you were there or not. So that's your challenge. All right, guys, we're at close to the top of the hour, so unless anybody has any last questions, thoughts, or comments, we'll let you go.